大家好，喺呢集節目裏邊，我會同大家介紹唔同嘅投資方案，包括房地產投資所需要注意嘅事情。跟住就會講下一個大家可以考慮嘅投資方案，然後會帶大家睇兩個示範單位，同埋訪問相關嘅負責人，最後就會展述有關嘅風險因素。呢集節目比較長啊，如果大家想嘅話，可以利用描述下邊嘅分節時間，直接跳去相關嘅環節。之前我喺另一集節目同大家講過，如果大家長線持有高度分散嘅環球股票基金，佢嘅實質平均年回報率有機會去到7厘，咁都相當唔錯啦。不過呢，買股票或者股票基金就有一個問題喎，咁咧就係一般嚟講，股票嘅波幅都係比較大嘅。過去幾個月美股已經跌咗2成啦。而股票基金嘅息率一般亦都唔會太高。假如你拎住1000萬港紙嚟到英國，每個月派嘅股息都係得個13,000左右，呢個就未必足以支付日常開支啦。所以股票比較適合仍然喺累積財富階段嘅朋友，攞嚟擺喺 ISA 啊退休金裏邊咧就幾好。但係咧，如果已經係去到要提取嘅階段，股票就未必係一個最適合嘅投資啦。而喺股票以外，有啲朋友就會選擇買債券啦。最近債券嘅息率就升翻唔少，而家都有2-3厘，咁仲好過股息。而且債券嘅波幅咧比較細，比較穩陣。如果你持有到尾，一般嚟講蝕本嘅機會就唔高嘅。不過另一個角度去睇，買債券你嘅本金本身就唔會資源增值。如果你買1萬蚊債券，賺完佢應承俾你嘅利息之後，到咗期嘅後，你都係攞翻1萬蚊本金嘅啫。有啲人就會考慮買 REIT， 即係房地產信託基金。呢啲基金嘅好處咧就係都唔使點煩。不過咧，買基金其實就等於買一間個別公司嘅股票，你要對呢間公司有好深入認識，確保咧佢嘅管理層係你信得過先得。房地產基金投資嘅物業，除咗住宅之外，亦都包括咗商業同埋工業用嘅物業，例如寫字樓同埋商鋪。而家喺受到疫情影響，都好多人咧在家工作，亦都咧電子商務橫行啊。呢啲物業係咪真係咁有投資價值，就要自己判斷一下啦。我研究過一啲純住宅嘅 REIT， 過往嘅派息率都係3點幾厘，而且佢嘅表現咧同市場好似咧都有啲落差。大家咧要仔細去選擇。所以好多人，特別係香港人，就中意買磚頭投資房地產啦。一來租金收入可以用嚟應付日常嘅生活開支，二來隨住樓價上升，自己一層樓賬面上都有機會可以賺錢。但係喺英國買樓收租就要面對唔少嘅問題。英國法例係好保障租客嘅，如果租客唔肯交租，你要趕佢走都要一大堆程序啊。既擔心個租客賴死唔走，亦都要擔心個租客唔交租自己走咗咯，因為兩樣嘢都好煩噶。而且業主就要負責全屋嘅維修費用，一啲比較大件嘅，例如要換屋頂或者換全屋電線、全屋水喉咁樣，分分鐘咧每次都要用10萬8萬港紙啊！喺英國樓價就未必好高，有啲地方幾萬英鎊都可以買到一間屋啦。但係一個唔好彩，維修費用分分鐘就佔咗樓價嘅幾成。但係如果你唔及時維修嘅話，租客咧就有權去到市政府舉報業主。而維修工程可能會超支或者會延期，如果你自己冇一隊可以信任嘅團隊咧，就真係好難搞啦。有啲人就會選擇揾租務管理公司幫手，咁樣做就要俾10% 左右嘅管理費。另外你亦都要好相信呢間管理公司先得。因為佢點樣揾啲 builders 去幫你去維修咧，事實上你都係冇乜得揀嘅。而喺租客退租之後，亦都會有段時間係冇租收。即使你聘請咗租務管理，亦都係冇乜分別。另外，政府對於出租房屋嘅要求，亦都係越嚟越嚴格。由2025年開始，所有新起嘅租約，佢個 EPC 即係能源效益都要去到 C 級或者以上。去到2028年之後，連原先有嘅租約，亦都要達到 C 級嘅水平。如果大家只係想做一個被動投資者，穩穩陣陣賺翻啲租金，就要聽下我跟住落嚟講嘅呢間公司佢提供嘅一啲服務。之前我同大家介紹過社會房屋，不過今次介紹呢間公司就唔係做社會房屋或者難民樓嘅，佢亦都唔係做 HMO。呢間公司嘅業務就喺市場上面收購一啲低價嘅房屋，翻新之後租俾當地一般家庭。 咁佢收嘅租金都會收到7厘以上。然之後呢間公司將屋嘅業權賣俾你，去繼續做你嘅二房東，向你提供一個固定嘅回報。頭嗰3年會係樓價嘅6厘，3年之後就會係5厘。咁但係就會根據市場租金而每年有所調整。如果整體大市個租金係上升嘅話，咁就有機會每年自動加租。由於你係租間屋俾間公司，而唔係直接租俾租客，所以間屋裏面究竟有冇人住，其實就唔係好關你事。對於你嚟講，並唔會有空租期，每一季都會收到嗰3個月嘅租金。佢亦都負責晒間屋嘅一般維修同埋結構維修。業主唯一要俾嘅錢就係每年大約100磅嘅物業保險。佢公司將呢樣嘢形容為 Net Guarantee Rent， 其實意思就即係話佢哋提供個固定嘅租金，佢哋公司就承擔咗租出房屋同埋維修嘅一個風險。佢哋嘅物業分佈喺英格蘭北部28個鎮，當地租金回報比較好，樓價亦都較低，可以話低水，將來升值潛力就比較豐厚啦。當地嘅市況同英國其他城鎮冇大嘅分別，一般零售商鋪同埋娛樂設施都好齊全。入場費67,000磅，亦都有啲價值較高嘅選擇。如果你係英國居民，年收入有25,000磅，仲可以考慮做按揭。不過要做按揭嘅話，就要揀樓價喺8萬磅以上嘅屋啦。呢間公司希望投資者視呢個為長遠嘅投資，每年收穩定嘅租金回報，就唔鼓勵大家短炒。咁但係大家萬一真係有需要出售嘅話，都有2個選擇。第一就可以賣翻俾間公司，又或者可以自行喺私人市場上面出售。呢間公司 Fine UK Property 嘅總部就喺 Blackburn 同埋 Burnley 之間，距離曼城大約1個鐘嘅車程。間公司以前曾經生產電腦，所以佢個辦事處都成間工廠咁大嘅。間廠後來轉型改咗名做 Time Technology Park。部分地方就出租俾其他公司，另外部分地方就保留作為 Fine UK Property 嘅總部啦。間公司嘅正式員工有60幾人，另外亦都有啲承辦商幫手。佢哋而家有超過1000個客，管理緊2500間屋。過去幾年呢間公司都有同 BBC 合作拍攝一個叫做 Homes Under the Hammer 嘅電視節目。喺呢幾集電視節目裏邊，佢哋有仔細提過用幾多錢將間屋買翻嚟，然後使幾多錢去裝修，將間屋嘅價值提升幾多，然後又可以用幾多錢將間屋租翻出去。有興趣了解佢哋商業模式嘅朋友，就可以睇晒呢幾集電視節目，連結就放咗喺描述下邊。講到呢度，大家可能有啲疑惑啦，點解呢間公司可以提供到每年固定5-6厘嘅回報呢？大家可能比較慣咧喺香港租樓俾人，啲回報都係好低嘅，咁講緊得嗰2-3厘，減埋使費咧就得個1-2厘。咁但係其實喺英國北部，一般嚟講未計費用之前，個租金回報率都有成7-8厘。大家唔使信我噶，大家只要 Google 一下，自己就揾到呢個資料噶啦。舉個例，一間屋價值10萬英鎊，咁佢出租俾人，一年可以收到7000英鎊嘅收入，咁咪俾翻你5000英鎊，剩低嗰2000英鎊，佢就攞嚟做維修管理費用。同埋咧就冚咗一部分空租嘅成本，剩低嗰部分就成為佢嘅公司利潤啦。由於佢一間公司管理成2500間屋，咁咧就一個規模效益，做嘢咧就比較有效率，可以將維修嘅成本降低。同一時間，就算個別屋出咗問題，例如遇到啲麻煩嘅租客，咁佢咧有2000幾間屋，出幾間屋事都冇乜所謂，可以拉上補下。一般嘅租務管理公司都唔會包你屋企嘅維修費用。咁係因為佢根本就唔知你間屋裏面有啲咩隱患啊！咁點解Fine UK Property又可以做到呢樣嘢呢？好簡單啦，間屋係佢買翻嚟嘅，佢負責翻新，間屋有咩問題，佢一早就知道啦。而且佢翻新嘅時候，為咗避免自己將來要食翻自己啲手尾，咁佢咧就會有個誘因做好啲工程去。如果大家將佢啲樓盤嘅價格同附近地區嘅平均樓價做一個比較，就可能會覺得佢啲樓盤好似貴咗啲喎。咁好自然嘅，因為啲樓全部都係啱啱翻新，而翻新都係需要成本。當地樓價低翻新嘅成本就佔呢個樓價一個唔細嘅比例啦。如果大家對啲數字有興趣嘅話呢，我就鼓勵大家睇晒佢 BBC 嗰5集電視節目，裏面呢都有詳細講解。有啲朋友可能擔心買佢啲樓會唔會將來俾佢食住晒啊？頭嗰3年就係死約嚟嘅，之後你就可以選擇唔再揾佢幫你管理你間屋，只要俾半年通知就得噶啦。 到時你或者可以收到更高嘅租金收入，咁但係咧就要自己負責翻管理同埋維修，亦都咧就要自己食翻嘅空置費用。咁我咧就唔會鼓勵大家咁樣做啦。簡單嚟講，佢哋就唔係做蝕本生意嘅，將間屋賣咗俾你之後，佢會繼續賺取租金差價，咁佢又幫你管理租客，俾埋維修費用同埋食咗空置嘅風險。咁呢個模式咧就比較適合一啲被動投資者啦。不過假如你唔怕煩，中意親力親為，有信心解決所有問題，希望賺盡租金回報，又唔介意有時收唔到租嘅話，咁你就可以考慮下其他嘅投資選擇，例如可以直接喺當地買樓，然後租俾人。有啲人會問5-6厘咁好賺，點解翻 UK Property 要賣啲樓俾你呢？其實同一問題你都可以走去問下李嘉誠喎，點解起咗咁多樓之後就要賣晒啲樓去呢？簡單嚟講，翻 UK Property 買咗層樓俾你之後，佢就可以收翻啲資金攞去繼續發展佢嘅業務。每一間公司都有佢自己嘅本業嘅。據了解，翻 UK Property 嘅本業就係翻新舊樓同埋做租務管理，而唔係長期持有大量物業，咁咧就等收租同埋升值，亦都可能出於風險管理嘅考慮。而且你覺得5-6厘好賺啫，人哋做生意回報就未必止呢個數啦。我去咗呢間公司訪問咗佢哋嘅董事 Tarek， 亦都趁住呢個機會睇下啲樓究竟係點樣樣。今日帶大家嚟睇呢一個示範單位，咁呢個咧就係翻 UK Properties 咧就去提供嘅其中一個單位啦。呢個單位咧個售價咧就係96,000磅，咁咧就係會有一個頭3年嘅6厘嘅回報啦，之後咧就係保證一個5厘嘅回報。咁你見咧，其實間屋咧而家呢一刻就差唔多完成咗裝修㗎啦，咁仲有少量嘅工程咧就仲做緊。咁裡面個大約嗰個咧，大部分咧個裝修就完成咗。咁大家睇一睇呢一間屋咧個情況會係點樣啦？咁呢個咧就係標準嘅一間咧3房嘅單位啦，其中咧一間係雙人房嚟嘅，另外2間咧就係單人房。咁入到嚟啦，咁咧就係個門口仲有少少嘢整緊，不過咧都可以見到啦。有一個咧就係全新鋪咗嘅門口地氈。咁入嚟呢個就係 hallway啦，地下咧就鋪咗啲新嘅地氈。咁另外咧啲牆身基本上都已經係油咗㗎啦。咁所以落企喺呢度咧，仲聞咗一大陣嘅油漆味嘅。咁見到上面咧天花線咧都有啲基本嘅裝飾啦，都係油好咗嘅。咁有啲係煙霧感應器啦，咁有啲電掣啊，咁有啲都係換咗。咁咧就睇翻咧呢一度啦，呢個就係第一間嘅一個係廳啦，佢仲有2個廳嘅。咁呢個廳咧就基本嘅火爐啦，傳統英式嘅建築。咁咧都係新油嘅牆啦，咁同埋咧就係地板都係新鋪嘅。咁咧另外個窗啦都係真正好咗㗎啦。跟住咧，我哋可以好快咧就去望下第2個 lounge 喎。咁咧呢個大啲嘅廳咧就可以見到啊，都係一個係標準嘅英式壁爐啦嚇。咁啲牆咧都係油咗㗎啦。咁咧就係簡單基本嘅裝修。喺呢度咧就有個士多房嘅。即係見到其實樓底好高啊，即係大家啲自用又好啦。如果你租客咧，即係擺啲好高嘅傢俬咧，其實都冇乜問題嘅。咁入嚟呢一度啦，就係一個新裝修嘅廚房啊。漏咗個位，稍後咧應該就安翻個洗衣機啦。咁就係基本上嘅櫥櫃啦嚇，咁仲有抽油煙機啊咁樣都係有晒喺度嘅嚇，都有啲基本嘅裝修咧都係已經喺晒度啦。另外呢一個咧就係一個洗衣房喎，utility room，咁其實都幾大下嘅喎。你見到嚇，仲有一個應該就係新嘅 boiler 啦。咁你見樓梯嗰啲地氈都係全新嘅，都係新裝好咗啦嚇。咁右邊咧係一間房嚟嘅。呢間咧就係一間大嘅雙人房，咁你見就係全新地氈啦嚇，牆就油好咗啦，天花都有油到嘅，咁另外窗咧都整過嚟嘅。好，呢間就係雙人房啦，另外咧仲有2間單人房嘅，可以嚟呢度睇睇。呢個就係單人房啦，咁咧基本上都係擺張床啦嚇，跟住咧仲有張書台啊、衣櫃咁，其實都夠位擺嘅都可以。咁呢個單人房咧可以望望個後院喎，喺個窗邊嗰度嚇。可以影一影後院個樣，咁啊基本嘅後院啦呢一個。好，咁再睇埋第3間啦，單人房。咁都係啦，都可以擺咗張床嘅，其實闊少少床都擺到喎呢度，其實係即係4隻床我諗都夠位呢個係。咁都係衣櫃啊、書台啊咁樣都應該 OK 嘅嚇。咁再睇埋咧就個浴室喎，浴室咧都係裝修咗㗎啦。咁就喺呢度啦嚇，咁就係基本嘅係沖水馬桶啦嚇，洗手盆啦，咁同埋咧有個浴缸嘅，都係全新裝修嘅，你見到係，咁都係似乎都靚嘢嚟喎，你睇下呢個水咁樣嚇， 咁咧就大約係咁多啦。咁啊佢仲未完成全部裝修嘅，所以最終個樣咧係有機會再會靚少少添。睇完頭先嗰間屋之後 Tarek 車咗我去另一個位置睇另一個示範單位。呢一度同大家睇一個咧就係類似嘅一個投資物業啦。咁呢一隻物業嘅型號咧就係 H2L 啦。H2 意思即係話都係2間房嘅。咁 L 意思咧就話呢個物業咧就係 Lancashire， 咁咧就係售價會稍微高少少。咁呢個物業咧佢嘅售價咧都係75,000磅啊嚇。咁裏面咧就有2間房嘅，可以入嚟咧睇一睇呢一個物業嘅情況啦。咁咧就係可以見到啦，就係都有一個現代啲嘅壁爐啦嚇。咁呢個物業咧就其實而家個狀態咧就係6年前已經係有業主買咗呢個物業嘅啦。咁之前咧都一定有租客喺度住嘅。咁最近咧個租客咧就搬走咗啦。咁咧就仲未完全翻新嘅。咁所以咧呢啲設施咧就其實都係6年前嘅裝修嚟㗎啦。咁咧就雖然個租客搬走咗，但係咧個業主咧仲係繼續收緊租嘅。因為呢部分咧就係變咗係翻 UK Property 咧就係提供個租金俾業主。咁呢個咧就係睇翻個單位嘅間隔啦。首先咧就係一個比較大嘅一個客廳啦。咁再嚟呢度睇咧就係一個廚房加埋咧一個細嘅飯廳。咁廚房咧見到咧就雖然係6年前啦，咁但係咧好似暫時個狀態咧都仲係幾新淨喎。咁咧就都見到咧就係似乎啲嘢咧都仲係即係正常運作啦，係啊。咁咧就呢度咧就會見到個牆咧有少少爛嘅。咁咧就其實咧就翻 UK Property 咧就會揾人咧就係整翻，咁跟住咧先至俾下一個租客再用嘅。咁我哋可以上去咧睇一睇上面啦。咁咧呢個物業咧就其實係2房嘅啫，咁咧就可以好快咁咧就睇一睇啦。咁一間屋咧，其中最重要就係梗係個浴室啦嚇。咁咧就係個狀態似乎都 OK 喎，都唔錯。咁咧都係一個抽水馬桶啦，一個係標準嘅浴缸啦，同埋洗手盆咁樣。呢個物業咧就係租出咗6年啦。咁呢個期間咧就係翻 UK Property 呢間公司咧都係繼續幫呢間屋做保養嘅。咁一般咧就如果租客就話即係啲咩要投訴啊或者要求維修咧，咁就都係由翻 UK Property 咧就負責㗎啦。嗱呢度咧就其中一間房啦。呢間咧就係細啲嘅房，咁咧就係擺單人床啦。咁咧都有個衣櫃仔喺度嘅，有雜物室喺度嘅。咁另外咧就我哋可以睇埋大少少嗰間房啦。咁咧就應該喺左邊。咁呢間房咧話都幾大下喎。其實你睇翻擺咗張雙人床之外咧，仲好多空間喺度啊，即係可以擺書台啊、衣櫃啊。我諗你買 new build 都冇咁大間雙人房嘅，而家其實係都係呢啲係舊式啲嘅建築咧，咁先至有啲咁大嘅空間喺度。咁你見呢個狀態似乎都唔錯，見啲牆基本上都冇乜甩漏啦，冇乜水漬咁樣。咁就天花板就都冇乜問題嚇，都係即係原裝油過下咁樣嘅嚇。咁就基本家私啦，就有張大床啦嚇。咁咧就可以睇睇出邊個 view 啊，亦都可以睇下。咁一個係標準啦，一個 terrace house 嘅一個社區。其中一個重點咧就係翻 UK Property 咧，其實佢都係諗住係長線嘅，咁所以咧就佢都維持住間屋係一個良好嘅狀態啦。如果好似而家咁嘅情況，個租客搬走咗，另外租客搬嚟之前咧，佢都會做翻個裝修啦，令到呢間屋咧就回復翻一個良好嘅保養狀態嘅。呢個地區大家未必好熟悉啦，但係其實英格蘭嘅東北部啦、西北部咧都有唔少人住嘅。咁呢個咧你見到都係一啲受薪階層啦，好多都係工人啊，有藍領白領啊，咁其實都唔少嘅。咁你見到咧就呢個地區咧都好正常啦，你見啲屋咧都係一個好decent嘅狀態，我自己覺得都係。咁一般嘅一個係英國傳統地方嘅一個細鎮仔啦、小鎮嘅一個居住嘅環境。而即係其實呢個社區咧周圍都有唔少嘅商鋪啦，有商場嘅，咁亦都戲院啊或者遊樂設施啊，例如啲係溜冰場啊，咁其實附近都係有嘅。睇完示範單位就要講下我同佢哋嘅董事 Tarek 傾咗啲乜嘢嘢啦。Dr. Tarek, nice to meet you here.
Nice to meet you.
I know you are running a business that would help people to invest in UK properties. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, basically what we provide are passive property investment solutions. So our clients, about half of our clients are from the UK, but 50% are from overseas. And like I said to you before, we have many clients from Hong Kong as well. And basically, we buy low-cost houses in the north. The north of England, the prices are lower, the rental yields are higher. The capital growth over the long term is the same. On average, properties double in value every 10 to 11 years. So from an investment point of view, buying lower cost property in the north is a good idea. And by chance, we are based here in the north. 15 years ago, we decided to do this business. So what we do is we buy good properties in the north. We renovate them to a good standard ourselves at our cost. We rent them out. And then they become available for our clients, mainly from London. Most of our clients are from London. And they select a property they like. I mean, our property range is from 66,000 to about 115,000. We have 8 categories of properties, and there's some subcategories within that. So there's a wide range, but all at the lower end of the market. So clients select the property, it gets transferred to them. We have a process where that happens. They become the legal owner, they own the property, their name is registered at the land registry. But then what they do is they give the property back to us. So we take possession of the property and they become a passive owner of the property, and we take all the liability and the responsibility. So what then we do is we maintain the property, we deal with the tenant, we pay for all the costs. The property is in effect guaranteed. As long as they remain a client, they will never need to pay any cost for that property. And they will continue to get the guaranteed rent, even if the tenant doesn't pay us, or even if the property is vacant. So it's a system which is ideal for people who want to be passive investors. I think the key thing here is that people need to understand that this is medium to long-term investment, not short-term. If you were coming to buy a property and say, I'll sell it next year, then it's not worth it, because you have buying costs, you have selling costs, you won't make money, you might actually lose money. But if you're looking for 5 years more, 10 years, then yes, your properties, in 10, 12 years may double in value. You will get guaranteed rental income, but you will never need to do anything. So this is what we offer.
So what is the percentage of the rental yield we are talking about?
So what we do is offer what we call a net rental yield. That means the investor has no costs, and that yield is 6%.
6%.
Okay. The long-term underlying rate, which we can afford, is actually 5%.
5%.
But in the first 3 years, we give an extra 1% because our costs are low. And then after the third year, that baseline rate increases in line with rent inflation. So if rents are going up by 4% every year, then the investor's rent will go up by 4% every year. So this is a very fair system. We have clients who've been with us over 15 years now, and they like it because they know that the rent is increasing. They know that the property is looked after.
So how is the rent inflation calculated?
Well, we look at the Office of National Statistics. We tie that in. We actually work on the rental increases on our tenants. We have 2,500 tenants right now. But that for the last, certainly for the last 10 years, that has been identical to the general rent increases, which is from the Office of National Statistics.
Could you tell us a little bit more about the background of your company?
Yeah, I mean, it's a family-owned group of companies. We have several companies in the group, but the property group employs about 65 full-time staff. We, of course, use contractors as well to help out with the renovations. We employ, all the trade, electricians, roofers, gas engineers, so that all of the maintenance we can actually do using our own staff. We have a sales team. There's only 4 or 5 people in the sales team. Most of the clients are watching, our YouTube videos, getting all the information, and then contacting us, and then we go through a process where we help them acquire the properties.
So what kind of fees the investors are responsible for? Do they have to pay for the maintenance or insurance or something like that?
So the investors don't have to pay for any maintenance or repairs. The only thing which they are liable for is about £100 per year for the property insurance, because they are one of the beneficiaries, and legally makes sense for them to pay for the insurance. And we take that from the rent and we manage that process, but they are charged the £100 per year. That is the only thing which they pay for.
Is there any liability of the owners? For example, if anything happens to the tenant due to the structural or the building issue, will they be prosecuted or will they be chased after by the council?
Well, the way our system works is that we take away the responsibilities of the landlord. Yeah? So the owner becomes a true passive owner. We, on the tenancy agreement, we are actually the landlord of the property, and we take on board all the liabilities related to the tenant, the property maintenance. So when the council says the property has got a problem, they write to us. They may also write to the owner, but the owner passes that letter to us because we are the landlord. We are liable for it, and then we fix it at our cost.
So will there be any void due to the tenant moving out and waiting for the next tenant moving in?
No, because effectively we are your tenants and we pay you a guaranteed rent. So if our tenant moves out or doesn't pay the rent or has any problem, it doesn't affect the investor at all. They continue to get the guaranteed rent from us. Obviously, it affects us and we make sure that doesn't happen. But sometimes it does. You know, on one particular property, we may actually end up losing money. But overall, we have 2,500 properties. We are a profitable company.
So we all know that by 2025, new lease has to have an EPC of at least C or better.
Yeah.
So will the owner be responsible for upgrading the EPC of the house, or is it your responsibility?
No, it's our responsibility. Basically, what we do in our agreement, we undertake to keep that property in a legally compliant and a good rentable condition at our cost. So that means if the government changes the laws and says the EPC has to be grade C by next year, we would have to do it. It would be our cost, not the owner's cost. And this is a big thing because many owners are worried about the costs involved in upgrading older properties to EPC rating. We've already started that. Each time one of our tenants moves out, we do a mini renovation on the property. At that time, we upgrade the EPC to C. So we started that process already.
What about other potential structural issues such as replacement of roof or replacement of drainage or electrical wires due to EIRC not passing?
So all of these issues with the property, any issue with the property, the roof falling off, the walls damp, whatever, they're our responsibility. And over the last 15 years, we have never charged any of our owners for any repair, any maintenance ever. Nothing. The only thing they pay for is the insurance, which is about £100 per year.
It is noted that most of the properties you're selling are located in the northern region of England, including northeast and northwest. What do you think about the potential capital gain of houses in these areas?
Yeah, that's a good question. We did research on capital growth over the last 70 years in the UK, in deprived areas, in well-off areas, in the south, in the north, different types of properties. And what we actually found was that over the long term, the percentage increases in capital value are actually the same. On average, houses double in value every 10 to 11 years in the UK and have done so, no matter where they are. You know, whether they're in the north or whether they're in London, that is what has happened. So capital growth is actually the same. The rental yield, though, is always better the lower the cost of the property because rental demand is at the lower end of the market. And that is the reason for investors to buy north. Most of our clients are from London. You know, in the past, they used to buy in London. But now, those same investors are actually buying up north because north is the best place to buy.
It's noted that the rental yield would be 6% for the first 3 years, but then decrease to 5% afterwards. So could you explain more why there would be such a decrease?
Okay, so let me explain that. The rental yield we are offering is a net rental yield after all costs. And the baseline yield of 5% is actually very good. But what we do is in the first 3 years, because our own costs are much lower, because the properties are freshly renovated, we don't have a lot of repairs and maintenance costs, we give an extra 1%. So the client gets 6% in the first 3 years. But after the third year, that baseline from 5%, there is an increase every year in line with rent inflation. Our clients think this is a fair system and it allows us to remain profitable and deliver good service.
Could you provide some ballpark figures, how much you spend on acquiring properties and how much you spend on renovating the properties?
Okay, it's a good question. Properties in the north are lower cost. What we do is we buy properties which are in a poorer condition, maybe at auctions, maybe directly from sellers and other investors who want to exit the market for one reason or another. So a typical property, a 2-bedroom house, for example, we might buy for 45, 50,000 pounds, but in a poor condition. It will need a new kitchen, bathroom, full decorations, electricals, EPC upgrading. We do all of these things. Those costs could be, on average, they're about 15,000 pounds. Could be higher if his property is in a very poor condition. Could be less if the property is in good condition. Yeah. So we would do that, make it compliant, and then we would rent it out. And then we would guarantee that property to the investor, and we would sell that property, say, 66,000 pounds, which is a type H1 two-bedroom house. So the price is higher than what you see in the market. But remember, this property is freshly renovated, it is guaranteed, and is going to be maintained at our cost for the long term. And it comes with a net guaranteed rent system. So when you take everything into account, it is actually very good value for money for investors.
So why is there a reservation fee before selection? Is the reservation fee refundable?
Well, the reservation fee is to make sure that clients are serious, because demand for these houses is higher than supply. I can tell you that right now we have about 45 clients who made reservations in the last 4 weeks. We're processing about 10 properties every week. So there is a system, and there is it's like a production line. We have clients who are interested. So we want to make sure that they're serious. They make a reservation, they get priority, then they select the property. But we will only transfer the property once a client is 100% happy. And if there's any unforeseen circumstances and they have to cancel, financial issues or whatever, yes, we will refund the reservation in full.
So would mortgage be possible for overseas buyers?
Well, we're hoping it will be. At the moment, it isn't. I'll be honest with you, because there are very few lenders who will lend, and there are restrictions on low-cost houses. With many lenders, they want the value to be a certain level for overseas. So we're not offering mortgages for overseas residents, but we are offering them for UK residents. And our hope is that by next year, we may be able to offer for some countries like Hong Kong and Singapore, we may be able to offer mortgages.
So the mortgage is only possible if they have a UK-based income, is that right?
One of the criteria is that they should have income in the UK, but it doesn't have to be UK-based. They have to have an income of about £25,000 per year. I think there is flexibility. I think if they have income, they're resident in the UK, and they have enough money for the deposit, then they should be eligible. But with each client, there are circumstances which our mortgage broker will assess each client and look at the best deal for each client. And we can't guarantee that the mortgage will be available for any client. We have to look at the circumstances.
Why is it not possible to view the properties before buying?
Well, it is possible to view it. Is difficult to select the properties, because if we send you a list of 20 properties, they'll be all over the north, and you have to make a decision fairly quickly, because we have 40 clients who are making that decision in the month. So typically we give 24 hours for people to look at the property sheets, look at the selection. Whichever they select, they will be okay, but obviously everybody has their own preferences. Yeah, the properties are guaranteed, and the selection process is quite easy. So I would say 90% of clients are able to select that way. Some of our clients are very nervous. They're dealing with a company for the first time. What we ask them to do is select a property, and we hold it for them. And then they come on and view that property. Once they're happy, yes, they can proceed. If they're not happy, we can cancel, and they can wait for the next batch next month. So that is possible as well.
What about those properties which already has a tenant in it? Can they still view it?
It's difficult, because tenants have legal issues. It is difficult to force a tenant to allow you to view a property. So we would avoid customers selecting properties which have tenants if they insist on a viewing. Yeah, but I think practically, when clients follow our system, they will be confident enough to buy properties without a viewing, because remember, people are buying properties which don't exist off plan without viewing. These properties do exist. There are pictures and details. They are guaranteed. There is a system in place. So the risk to the investor is very, very low. Viewing doesn't really add any value for the investor. It just gives them a bit of reassurance. And for that reason, yes, we have a system that allows that. But 90% of our clients probably won't do a viewing before they buy.
What would happen if the investor want to dispose of the property?
Yeah, I mean, it's the investor's property. Now, for the first 3 years, we have an agreement with the property because we try and put in long-term tenants. So if it's an emergency, yes, we will allow a sale in the first 3 years, but investors should not buy a property if they're looking to resell within 2 or 3 years. After 3 years, they can give us 6 months notice anytime, and we can hand the property back to them. We will move the tenant to another property nearby. We will clean the property, make it in a good rentable condition, and hand it back to the investor. And so far, only 5 clients have given us that type of notice to live in the property themselves. About 55 clients have sold their property, and in every case, we have agreed to match the market price, and they've sold it back to us. They don't have to do that, but they have done. But no client so far, this is June 2022, so far no client has left our management to go to another agent. But you can do that. They are free to manage themselves, and they can go to another agent. Yeah.
What would happen in the event that your company decides to discontinue your business here?
Yeah, well, you can ask the question directly. If our company goes bust, what will happen? So yes, there will be inconvenience, but at the end of the day, the investor is the owner of the property. Okay, so when companies go bust, the court appoints an administrator. The administrator will find other agents who will be willing to manage those properties at normal rates. So there will be inconvenience, and the service may not be as good as we are providing, but the assets are safe. So and we don't intend to go bust. We're a family-owned group. We've been here 35 years. My children are now running the business, so we don't intend to do that, but anything can happen, and it's a good question to ask. Yeah.
So would rent start kicking in immediately after completion of the exchange?
Yeah, the rent start 1 month after completion date, exactly 1 month. That's when they start, and we pay the rent at the end of each calendar quarter. It makes it easy for us. It also reduces bank charges, especially for overseas clients. So we pay end of March, end of June, end of September, end of December.
Hi, Dr. Tariq, could you sum up in a few words what is the benefit of putting money in your investment?
Sure. So many of our clients have savings which are sitting in banks doing nothing. They're worried about investing in property because of tenant issues, maintenance issues, liabilities. Our solution answers all of that. They can buy a property from us. They will get guaranteed rental income. They will never need to worry about repairs or tenant issues. They have no tenant or legal liabilities relating to the property. It's a no-brainer for them. They get guaranteed income 6%, and they don't have any issues. So that is the reason why people should consider us.
Thank you very much for answering all our questions. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much indeed. Thank you. Nice meeting you.
講到呢度都要同大家講講呢個投資有啲咩風險。第一個風險就同所有房地產投資一樣啦。嗱，買咗層樓之後，層樓就係你㗎啦。咁咧樓價可升可跌。如果將來層樓價跌咗，或者升得唔夠人哋多，你都冇得問人哋追翻㗎喎。正如假如樓價升咗，你賣咗層樓賺咗錢，你都唔使分翻俾人。另外租金亦都係可升可跌。頭嗰3年租金就固定咗，唔會有變化。不過之後租金就會跟住大市去調整。雖然過去未試過啊，但係理論上如果大市嘅租金係向下調嘅話，你收到嘅租金亦都會減少。另外，所有物業投資者都要面對政策風險。雖然而家冇，但係理論上政府可以向物業投資者徵收額外嘅徵稅。喺呢個投資計劃裏邊，Fund UK Property 會做咗你嘅二房東。咁你需要同佢簽署一份合同，等佢有權幫你管理間屋。合同嘅詳細內容買之前你就可以問翻 UK Property 攞到，請大家細閱。最後要提嘅一個風險就係假如翻 UK Property 結束佢嘅業務或者倒閉，到時會點算啦？嗱，間屋係屬於你嘅，喺填土箱上面個註冊亦都係你個名。咁啊，如果冇咗翻 UK Property 作為二房東，咁你咧就要自己管理翻租客，咁亦都自己要負責翻維修啊、空租期啊嘅呢啲支出，咁亦都可能咧就要揾翻個租務管理公司，咁會有額外嘅支出。如果大家有興趣或者想攞多啲資料嘅話，就可以將你嘅英文全名同埋電話號碼用電子郵件傳俾我，跟住翻 UK Property 嘅香港代表就會聯絡你噶啦。而家經我轉介，你可以得到額外200英鎊嘅折扣，我亦都會得到一份 referral bonus。呢集節目就講到呢度啦，拜拜。